want to be remembered, and I thought his answer, of course, was just perfect. He goes, I want to be remembered as being a good teammate, respected by all the coaches and my peers. I want everybody to know I love the game of football.
And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50.
Beer, Broncos, and
Hello
no BS.
again, Broncos country.
Welcome
Really
to
excited
Beer,
to chop up some
Broncos,
Broncos.
Orange Weekly. No politics, just football.
Since an early age. Not since 97, I ain't miss a game. Came up with TD and Rod Smith. I was riding with the team when they got the chip. Before the Chevrolets and the Lobster. I remember Elway's helicopter. I'm telling you, that man was a monster. Way before he had his hands on a roster. He turned the Broncos to a powerhouse. So you know I got a shout out to Johnny. Elway, he important, man. He the reason that I'm always rocking orange, man.
Recording. Hello again, Broncos country. We are back. We're back for free agency frenzy. It's been not as crazy for the Denver Broncos as for some other teams out there, hint, hint, the Houston Texans. However, we have a lot to talk about between what's going on with our Broncos, what's going on around the league. We have a lot to talk about, and this is the first time we're doing a live podcast. So if you guys missed something from today, feel free to go onto your iTunes, Spotify, and download the podcast and make sure you follow us. As always, we have our great Orange Weekly team here. We got Kev, Dan, David, and Ayla, and we are going to have a good time. Kev, Dan, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. I'm excited. The first time we're doing this live. We're still calling it over here, our normal show, but trying to get it out to more people. And there's a whole lot of stuff to talk about, especially with no other sports going on. This is the chance to get some, your fill on some sports talk while also drinking.
Yes. By the way, I'm a huge fan of the day 3 without sports memes. Those are the greatest. David, how you doing today?
Oh man, lots of days without sports and just barely
Barely hanging on, Jared. But free agency's been here for us. There was talk that they were going to postpone the league year, that we weren't going to get free agency on time, even though the CBA passed. So I'm just glad that we do have this one distraction, sports related, that hopefully will mean something in a few months when activities will be happening like normal, knock on wood.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully nothing else gets delayed. They're talking about the draft and there's a lot of rumors surrounding that. We'll get to that later. And for those of you who don't know Ayla is the newest member of our Orange Weekly team. We're super to have her on. Ayla, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. Go Broncos. At least we're going to have something to talk about. No more sports. That's okay. We're here to do this. So it's all good.
Exactly. All right, so let's drive right into it as the questions start pouring in from our Facebook Live and our Twitter feed. Make sure you guys are following each one of those. As we're going in there, let's talk about who we got. Like, who did we get? We got AJ Bouye. That's how I'm going to pronounce it from now on. So I really would recommend that. No, don't. I feel like that's so. He's the corner from the Jaguars, right? So we know about Chris Harris leaving. Chris Harris is now a Los Angeles Charger, and
the league year just started. That's our first one, and the league year started on Wednesday. So
he's a Los Angeles Charger, and we got AJ Bouye. What do you guys think about that? Is that an even, number one corner for number one corner? Like, how do we feel about that?
So if you're asking me if it's an even 1-for-1 swap, no, but it's a more nuanced question than that. It's AJ Bouye and Chris Harris do different things primarily. AJ Bouye is kind of more of an outside corner, a little bit more in the Aqib Talib archetype, not the same kind of skills, obviously, but a little bit taller, a little bit more able to go with those outside receivers who don't have that necessarily burning perimeter speed, versus a guy like Chris Harris, who was much more of a slot corner specialist. We did see him play him a lot outside last year, but really slot corner was his specialty, and he can still do that at a really high level. But as far as a number one corner for number one corner swap go, I think you're not going to see as much of a production drop-off wise. I think it's going to be at least equivalent going forward, and maybe a little bit improved with a younger guy who can do a little bit different things in the Fangio system.
So I'm also thinking, yeah, he's a little younger, but I think there's a big attitude piece to all of it as well. Look, love Chris Harris, everything he did for the Broncos, always gonna be a fan. But week 2 last year when he said, "I have 14 weeks left of this." Okay, well now I already know where your mindset. I don't care what you say for the rest of the season, really. I know where your mindset really is. As bad as that season was last year, as we're going through all that crap, I don't really believe, looking back, that I was sitting there going, yeah, I think he's turned his attitude around. So as much as I love the guy, I think it's a good fresh start for him, and it's a good fresh start for us.
He definitely pulled his head out of the season pretty early, and then once the season was actually over, his actions towards the team, social media, he had unfollowed us. He was talking to people saying, I can't, Kansas City, I could go there. And then there was a lot of talk up until the night that he signed the next day with the Chargers. He was talking to the Raiders as well. So to me, he just kind of slid down the tiers, Kansas City, then the Raiders, now he's going to go LA Chargers. And from what I read, he's taken a little bit less money than what we had actually offered him. I don't know about what he gets up front or guaranteed, but go ahead and go to the Chargers.
See, yeah. I was a little bit mad. Now I'm coming back to it a little bit, and here's why. No. Yeah, because first of all, he got a better offer from the Raiders than he got from the Chargers, and he turned him down. So he gets at least some points in my book for knowing that's a crummy organization, and you don't go to the fucking Raiders. Second of all, he got asked directly this week today if picking the Chargers was he was in his mind because he wanted to play the Broncos twice a year. And that was a gimme question. And he said no. He just said that was where the market was. His interest came from AFC West teams, and that's where he ended up. So he had at least a chance to take a real shot at the Broncos there and say, yeah, it's going to be a revenge game for me. He let that go by. And he really did kind of give a real shout out to the whole organization yesterday on Instagram. It's kind of what's expected, but it's, something that he could have chosen not to do.
He had to give a shout out. I mean, he was undrafted and
he didn't.
He was undrafted. He got his ring with us. I mean, he was a huge part of it. You got to give credit where credit is due.
Sure.
If he didn't, that would really just show some negative character.
Right.
And I don't think he's a bad guy.
Oh.
But if it's just time for him to move on, I do wish him the best. And if you don't want to play with us, go on. We want players that want to play.
Definitely time for a fresh start.
And I think a big part of this too is, and it goes along the same lines with the Emmanuel Sanders trade that we made earlier in the season, right? These guys are, always loved in Denver. They're always going to come back. They're going to be great in Denver, and they won us a Super Bowl. They helped get us to a Super Bowl and win us a Super Bowl. But time goes on. They get a little older. They ask for more than they want, and they want to go to another place, and that's fine. And I have nothing against them. And you guys know I'm a huge Chris Harris fan. I have been since he was an undrafted rookie for this first year. I've loved his play style, loved what he's brought to the team. But this is one of those that there's no hard feelings either way. There's no hard feelings on either side going, oh, he's so bad because he did all this stuff. I don't think that's the case. I think we still love him for what he was. He's just not that guy anymore. And he's just not that explosive corner, number one shutdown corner that he used to be.
I'm just looking forward to when we get his name in the Ring of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's going to happen.
That'll be a fun day.
So for those who are listening to this podcast when it's uploaded on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to, and you've never watched our live show, we try to be really interactive here on the live show. And we've got a ton of comments, a ton of questions. So we got Dylan here. Gene, how you doing? Victor, how you guys all doing? We also have Lamar and Andrea. Good to see you guys. Some regulars and some new folks as well. So Dylan says Harris lost a step. Not going to knock him too much. He wanted to go do a contender that took less money, and more guaranteed, which we know he took. And went to a division rival. So at least his home games will have a bunch of orange and blue. We know that, especially for the Chargers, who I heard are still going to continue having home games because, not enough fans show up for their games anyway. So,
they got that brand new stadium and it's super expensive and they got to try.
Abdi says he's in the building too. How you doing? Now, Victor has a good question. Did Chris Jarris have a problem with Fangio? Obviously, we can talk all day about this. He didn't have a problem with the fans. Where do we think he felt disconnected from? Was it the coaching staff? Was it just being in a team that just wasn't doing well for so long? Or was it just time he needed to leave?
I honestly think it was the overall level of play of our team, and especially the offense. He had to play a lot. He got blamed for a lot of things when he was winded. He was out there playing a lot of snaps, especially when Flacco was out there. Flacco was out there for three downs, and then defense is back out, right? He wanted to go to somewhere that maybe had a chance to go forward. And which kind of surprised me. They have a great defense in Los Angeles, right? The Chargers do have a very good defense. They have a very stout defense, but they have less offense than we do, especially with the fact that they don't even know who their quarterback is going to be. They're really not. They're not doing anything that's really above and beyond. But I think that was his biggest frustration. He saw 3 years after our Super Bowl year where we had just the peak of excellence and leadership and offense, and we just haven't gotten that back. And I think he's just tired of it. I think he was just bored.
Well, and on the back end of the defense, too, before this last year, you've got him and who. You had Justin Simmons back there, but this was kind of Justin Simmons coming out year. Yeah. In 2018, 2017, we leaned pretty heavily on Chris Harris back there. And, he held up as best he could, but it wasn't the same without the other, the guys supporting, the Aqib Talib, the no-fly zone back there, where he could shine and do his best when he was asked to be, the number 1, 2, and 3 guy in that secondary for a couple of years. Then you have Fangio come in and kind of totally change your defense, totally change what you're doing. And in a system, you're coming up on 30 years old. You kind of want to do what you want to do at this point. You don't want to have to learn a new system and try to bring all the young guys like Isaac Yadam and those guys along with you. It would be a lot to me. It's, like we said earlier, probably just a fresh start is what he was really looking for.
All right,
Nathan,
so let's go.
Yeah.
Let's. I got one more, so we're going to talk a little bit about. We'll take some questions about this subject here. But so we're talking about AJ Boye coming in, and we've talked enough about Chris Harris leaving. What is the concept, and what is your thought process on a Bryce Callahan, AJ Boye starting corner set with Justin Simmons in the back? How comfortable and confident are you feeling in our secondary?
So I'll start that because I know
he's not the mascot.
No,
Kevin.
I know. It's time for. I'm moving past that. Hold on, let me fix this really quickly, guys. Sorry.
Meaning he has to look up who that is?
No, I don't. Yeah, what does he even look like? No, but really,
Yeah.
So those guys being healthy, and we know what Bryce Callahan can do when he's healthy. I'm going to say it again. My big concern is, can he stay healthy for a whole season? Because the last, I think it's 6 years now, he has not been able to play a whole season healthy. And so if he can, along with these other guys, I think we're going to have a very strong backfield. And it's going to be fantastic to see both the defense and this offense start really, working both sides of the ball and killing it out there. But once again, once we start having some of those injuries, which every team has, what we got to look at that depth, right? The second stringers, the third stringers, how are those guys going to be able to step up? So as long as we're healthy, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to seeing Bryce Callahan outside of the Miles suit, But look, when he's out there, I think he's going to kill it.
Ayla, what you got?
I 100% agree. I think the injury part of it is going to be a huge factor. But I am excited that AJ Boye, am I saying that right?
Boye?
All I know is that Jared's saying it wrong.
That's definitely not how I'm saying it.
I just think he's enthusiastic and ready to come somewhere to have a fresh start, which is always, it's going to be a good thing. I think everybody's going to be more comfortable with Fangio this year. So that will all come together. I'm pretty excited about it. I think we should definitely find one other guy. We've still got some money. We just freed up a little bit more. So bringing somebody else in for a little bit more depth might be helpful.
All right, to the questions, Kev. What do we got for questions?
Awesome. Let me go back a few. Nathan says, do you think Everson Griffin would be a good fit on the D-line in the Fangio system? And then Victor also asks, are we still interested in Derek Wolfe? So those are two questions. Guys, keep posting your questions, comments, and we'll get to them. Hit that share button for us as well. But Everson Griffin is honestly not a name I've really heard brought up too often.
No. Dave, do you know much about Everson Griffin?
Well, Everson Griffin, a guy who played with the Vikings for a long, long time. He has spent most of his career at 4-3 end, which is really my concern about his fit in the scheme. And when I look him up on Pro Football Reference, he's listed 6'3", 273. That's not, it's not an impossible playing weight for a 3-4 D end, but it is pretty light. You really want those guys to be up a little further toward 290 or 300. Jarrell Casey is a perfect example of what you want at 3-4 D end, and we'll get a little bit into that later. But he's a little bit closer to 305, I think, and he's a guy who can play basically any position in the Fangio system on the defensive line, which really makes him perfect. And again, I'm getting too much into that. We're going to get into that a lot later. So Everson Griffin is, to me, a guy who has had production, been very productive at that position for the Vikings over his career, but not a guy I see as a really great fit for this system.
Yeah, and to mention to touch on the Wolf's thought process, he's still playing free agency. He's still seeing what he can get, and we're basically here as a, hey man, we're here. We're here to offer you. We know what we offered you. I know you don't want that, and you're going to see what you could take. But there's always a possibility he comes back, takes a 1-year, 2-year deal with us to stick around for a little bit longer and see what he could do. And I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind him coming back and taking the money that we're offering, because we're probably not offering him a whole lot, especially with he's also been injured lately. It's been a little bit difficult to keep him on the field. And he is a huge inside stop for that run, and he really helps out the outside by making the inside very difficult to block.
The Broncos are not going to offer him $10 million a year. And it just the way the market has been this year, somebody might have already. And he's just kind of, he might not like the situation that he got offered that money at. And he's just kind of thinking over options right now. But I get the feeling at this point, he's not back just because he has gotten better offers than what the Broncos have given him.
So how much of it is he wants to stay on the team? He wants to stay in Denver, and maybe he's bluffing, saying, hey, these guys are offering 8.5, 9. Hey, Denver, are you willing to do that? See if he can get his price tag up a little bit more on the Broncos side before. I just can't see him really wanting to go to another team for a couple of years he has left.
It's not wrong. Yeah. Ayla, what do you think?
I think his injuries are probably a huge part of why somebody wouldn't offer him. I think it would have to be a bluff. Because dude plays with so much heart. And he's very much loved in Denver. I think he's becoming such a, I could see him as a captain. He's just there with the team. He brings unity. He's been there for a while. When we drafted him, it was super exciting and to watch him build with us and grow and as a player. But it is sad that he's gotten injured so much. So, I hope I hope he gives us another shot with the money game. I hope he's reasonable, and I'd love to keep him on the team. And I know fans in Denver, they love him too. He's a great asset, but staying healthy is going to be key. And we'll just see how that plays out.
Yeah, and on that note too, when he did go down, there's only a few players on that team that when they go down, we're like, oh, there goes our season. He was one of them. He went down with injury, and everyone was kind of like, man, that really ruins our interior defensive line because he was really our big run stopper in there. And yeah, Ayla, you're right. I do hope that he comes back. I hope that he says, okay, you know what? I'll take that hometown discount and sticks around with the Broncos, knowing that we're proceeding forward. And I think that Drew Lock has a lot to do with a lot of these players wanting to try to stick around too, because they see that this fresh face and they see that the potential of this team is coming in.
Yep.
I'll tell you what wouldn't surprise me at all is if Draymond Jones at least goes into training camp as the starter at defensive end.
Yeah.
Casey, Purcell, and Jones. It just wouldn't surprise me at all.
So speaking of which, we can talk about Jarrell Casey. Now we're talking about free agency. We just signed Jarrell Casey, and that's a huge sign. And I think that's probably one of my more favorite. He's my second favorite sign of the 4 that we've signed in this free agency, right? He is trade. Well, my pickup. He's my second favorite pickup in this free agency. And we'll get to my favorite pickup towards the end. And I wish Matt were here because I'm picking an offensive lineman as my favorite, but we'll get to that. Jarrell Casey, what do we think about him? I do think he's going to end up playing tackle. I think he's going to be interior. I think he's going to be filling in that inside, those inside gaps. And I also think he's going to be getting a lot more sacks than people think he will, because people are going to be way too focused on Chubb and Vaughn on the outside. He's going to be able to get up the middle, and they don't know what to expect from him because they haven't seen him in a Broncos uniform. Thoughts?
Well, I think you got between Miller and Chubb, and I think a lot of people might be kind of sleeping on Von Miller this next year because this last year wasn't, it was really good. It wasn't a great Von year.
The sacks were down. Everything else was Vaughn.
Right. So, you got those two right there. Look, Chubb goes out to take a break for a player. You put that, you put somebody else in there, fresh legs like him. You're going to be really worried about those sacks all day long with those guys out there, especially with the backfield we're going to have. And Dylan talks about it. Chubb, Miller, Casey, Boye, that's how he spells it too. It's awesome. Jackson, Simmons, Callahan. Look, those guys are going to be killing it out there as a defense in general. So I'm still worried about how we're going to stop tight ends. But other than that, it's fantastic, guys. So I have nothing but good things to say.
I was flabbergasted when I heard we got Jarrell Casey for a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
7th round pick and I had to go back because I've heard the name Jarrell Casey an awful lot, just as a guy who on an otherwise unremarkable Tennessee team for a lot of years, a guy who was just wrecking it on their defensive line over and over and over again. And So I went back to check, was he injured last year? Did he miss half the season? Like, what's going on? Did his play decline remarkably? No, they were just paying him too much. So you know what? We can afford to pay him this much. And when you look at the contracts being handed out for guys who are not as talented as Jarrell Casey in this free agency period, the contract really doesn't even look that bad, especially if the salary cap goes up as it's projected to over the next couple of years, which is going to be a dramatic increase. We're not going to be really having any qualms about this deal if you're getting anywhere close to the player that he has been.
And he's a Pro Bowl. He was Pro Bowl this year. It's not like he's had 4 Pro Bowls back, in the 80s. Like, he was a Pro Bowler this year. So I think that's a huge idea.
You can go look up highlights of him sacking Lamar Jackson in the playoffs this year. He looks good.
Yeah, but that Tennessee team, and he stuck with it because they weren't good for a long time. And then this year they're blowing it out of the water and still gets Pro Bowl. Wasn't he All-American too? I mean,
Yep. Yeah.
I'm excited. Dude looks like a beast.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think he will be. And again, I think we're starting to pick up some healthy guys, and we're trying to keep him healthy, which is, I think, something that Elway is learning as he goes along. And do we have any questions from the fans on this particular subject, Kev?
Maybe not specific on that. There are a lot of comments and questions about what we're going to be looking to do with in the draft, especially in the first round, and kind of what our needs are after all of this. Zach, how you doing? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore you guys. Nathan, Alfredo, Kyle, you guys are awesome. Keep posting those comments, questions, and try and get to them. Let's see. Dylan says Casey is our Malik Jackson style replacement from our Super Bowl year, so there's definitely some excitement there. Nathan says, if Wolf is not back with Denver, is there any wish list free agents you would like to see in blue and orange that we could afford? So let's say worst case we do lose Derek Wolf. What are we going to do? What would you like to see us go do? Draft or get someone free agency?
Probably draft. I don't know that there's really anybody out there on the defensive line as far as the free agent class goes right now that makes me go, ooh. And, maybe it's a situation where we trade another low pick for somebody on a roster somewhere. And, that's really kind of been the MO for the front office, this free agency, aside from the Graham Glasgow signing. So, we have, I haven't checked the number of draft picks that we still have, but it's a very large amount. And I would be very, very surprised if we end up drafting the number of players that we have picks for right now. We're probably going to trade some of them.
Yeah, this is a heavy defensive line class too, which is going to be good. So a lot of really good ones are going to fall, especially if we just need a hole filler. And right now, I think we have a pass rush heavy defensive line. I think we're really going to need a run stopper on the interior of the defensive line. Now, I do think Casey is going to play a part. The other part that comes into this too is now we have Casey and Vaughn, who are in the later end of their career, and we have Bradley Chubb, who's towards the beginning of his. I think we get one more that's going towards the beginning, and we have something that we can have that continuity for. So I think draft too.
Yeah, I think we have. I think right now with the trades and stuff, I think we have 10 picks. If I'm just counting right,
I think
10 or 11. And I, of course, we're gonna have to go wide receiver with it, but defensive line, I think getting another young guy who can mentor under our squad right now for a couple of years while these older guys kind of move on, but they're good mentors, and it'd be a good time to pick somebody young up and let them grow.
Yeah. So one name we haven't talked about yet that Kyle asked about is Shelby Harris. We haven't mentioned him at all yet. We all thought he was going to be gone, probably Indianapolis. Well, we're several days into this now, and there's been zero.
DeForest Buckner. They've traded a first-round pick to San Francisco for DeForest Buckner, so that door's closed.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to Cincinnati. They picked up DJ Reader. The Bills signed Quentin Jefferson, I think. The Seahawks took Jaron Reed back. It's the Dolphins have been handing out crazy money, but they are kind of out, I would think, at this point. I don't know who's left that's going to give Shelby Harris, I think, the kind of money that he thought he might command. And probably, that was the hype. this offseason, that he was going to command a big contract, that he was going to be one of the big ticket free agents. And I don't know that his market has materialized quite the way he thought it might.
Yeah, and so this goes back to the conversation we just had about Derek Wolfe, and I think we would just be repeating ourselves if it came down that way. At this point, that nobody has gone after him. Nobody's really offered him the money that I think he's looking for, and I think he does still like Denver, and I think that's all the same with both him and Derek Wolfe. I actually just saw this, and I think it's really funny. So Nikki Jabvla,
Yeah, I can never say it.
that whatever that one is, from The Athletic. So she tweeted back at the beginning of free agency that Derek Wolfe posted a pretty dope free agency hype video that is she's pretty sure is a goodbye / a thank you, and Derek Wolfe responded to it saying this is not a goodbye. So that's also a good thing to look forward to.
The Still Hungry video.
Yeah, that's the one.
It is a good one. I saw it out here, but I haven't seen anything from Shelby Harris. That, I mean, he's been quiet. And does this last season really give him the leverage that he thought that he had as well? I mean, it was a great season for him. I don't want to downplay that, but did enough teams see him and recognize that and, give him that to work with? I don't know.
And again, Shelby Harris is another undrafted guy that we brought in and did very well in our system. And I think that's a lot what's scaring a lot of other teams away. And I think that's really what it comes down to. His size is not great. He doesn't have great size, but he has that great athletic ability and just that nag for knowing where the ball is and getting those swats.
His sacks have all come on first or second down. He doesn't have his pass rush skills are only okay. That's just I think he is a really top end rotational defensive lineman. I don't think you can count on him to be a high end starter in the league. And I think that's just kind of emerged when you really look at the tape for him. A great guy to have in your defensive line room, but not somebody you're going to be paying to be a premier player on your line.
Let's see. Right. Kyle says he'd really like to have a better backup quarterback. So I know we signed what's his name from Detroit?
Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah.
Jeff Driscoll, yeah.
So young guy, he does have some experience.
Yes. 7 starts, I think. It's not great, but it's you of course you want every team wants Chase Daniel to be their backup quarterback, but it's just not the kind of market there is.
So what's the difference between him and Brandon Allen? Yeah, Brandon Allen. So what's the difference between him only having 7 starts and Brandon Allen, who's played with us and has several starts and several wins under his belt?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I don't know enough about the guy. I like Jeff Driscoll. I do. I don't see anything bad about him, but I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think that we're ever going to have an issue with him. And I don't think it's going to be one of those guys that's going to be a league traveler. And because I feel like if we do see him, he's going to be another like Trevor Siemian type where he was a backup, then he got the start, did a couple good games. Now we have this quarterback controversy again. And I'll tell you guys right now, my heart cannot handle that. It can't.
No.
It cannot go through another one of those.
First time in 3 years, 4 years, there will not be a quarterback battle during training camp. We know who the guy is. So
yeah.
I don't know what we're going to fill our time talking about.
But I was still crying.
Yeah.
It's true. No. This year we know who the guy is, and there's reason to be optimistic.
There we go. Mm-hmm. That's where we're at. Speaking of which, we cut Joe Flacco today.
Yes, we did. We waived him.
Experiment is over.
We waived him because he didn't pass his physical.
Right, he didn't pass his physical. Right. They find the ways and the means and the legalese to get these things done, but it was time for that to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. So
now that we're on the offensive side, we are here to talk about the greatest signing that we have had in offseason 2013, and I honestly mean that. I think Graham Glasgow is the kind of player that we get on an offseason that's really going to make a difference and really going to hold up that offensive line. And if all of our guys can stay healthy this year, I think we have such a good offensive line, it's going to be ridiculous. However, that's if we all stay healthy. What are you guys thinking about this Glasgow trade or this Glasgow pickup, and where are we going with this? What is our offensive line going to look like with this pickup?
I think he's exactly the guy that we needed. He's got real low penalties, no sacks allowed. I don't know if they're going to have him do guard or center, but we'll see. I was excited about it too. It's my favorite pick as well. Pick up.
Look, you got a guy like Locke, you got to find a way to protect him. Bringing this guy in is hopefully somebody the offensive line can be built around and be that leader, the leader of the offensive line, the one that they all look to bring their game to the next level. So I know that's kind of what we were hoping to see last year, and it did kind of get better over the year, especially with Garrett Bowles ending the season better than what he did to start it again, right? But hopefully he's the guy that's going to bring in that continuity that we can count on for years to come, that's going to keep our offensive line strong and keep Drew Lock standing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, he's a little bit better as far as pass protection goes than maybe run blocking when you go back and look at his tape, Glasgow. But overall, he's really, really good at both. And it does look like we're going to see him more at right guard than at center. They really do want to probably stick with, Pat Morris is a guy that played some snaps at center last year, late in games when they were just, decimated by injury everywhere and they were just trying to put bodies in there. You see Connor McGovern move on to the Jets. A guy who I think they made an offer to him in the $5 to $6 million range, and he ended up getting $9 million from the Jets per season. So, I think at this point with Mike Munchak and the production that he's been able to get from Matt Parrott, well, the team has been able to get because Munchak just got here last year, but what he's got from Matt Paradis, then what he got this last year from Connor McGovern, I feel like they think they can take the center position and put a guy there and get similar production. So they really want to keep Glasgow at his position of strength, which is right guard. It's a really, really good signing. You paid a lot of money for him, but again, it's that kind of free agency market. If you wanted to make a splash signing, you had to pay big money for somebody, and they needed some offensive line help. So like Jared says, if you can keep everybody healthy, you're going to have a good to great offensive line. We're going to see Garrett Bowles back this year. I really feel like that's probably the case, but other than that, I think you're going to have a very, very good offensive line if you can keep everybody upright.
I agree. I think this is going to be a different offensive line that we haven't seen in a while, and I think that's really going to show what Mike Munchak can do and bring those guys all together. And I honestly think as long as, again, we stay healthy, we're not going to be able to see anything other than wins and great pass protection and great run offense. All right, so we've talked about all of our pickups. So Kev, do we have any questions from the fans on that specific issue?
So we have some guesses on what the offensive lineup's going to be like.
I like it.
Before we get to this question from Austin, really quickly want to remind you guys that whether you're watching this when we're doing it live or when you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, if you like us, please hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the follow button. We really appreciate all your guys' support, and really, we talk Broncos amongst ourselves all the time, so we do this so we can interact with you guys and just share what we're talking about with everyone else. So please, any support you guys can give us in terms of giving us a follow, giving us a like, really appreciate it, guys, and hit that share button for us. Austin does say now, do you think Denver would move up in the draft for Iowa Tristan? Or just, I guess, move up? Do you see us moving up or down, or are we going to stick there at number 15?
So to me, the specific question is, do we trade up for Tristan Wirfs, who is going to be one of the top tackles in this draft, guy from Iowa? And I don't know that we do. To me, it doesn't seem like, as much as you'd like a guy like Tristan Wirfs to fall to you, and if he's there at 15 somehow, I think you definitely grab him. I think the way this draft is shaping up, though, and especially with the free agency that we've had, we are going to be in a position at 15 to draft somebody really, really good. We filled up our huge holes in free agency, and at this point, I think we can draft for depth. And so whoever that best player available is when you get to 15, it's probably going to be somebody at a position that we could use some depth. So to me, I think you do stand pat unless somebody in the Broncos draft room is really, really in love with a player. I really don't think we're going to see a big move up.
Yeah, I see your point there, and I've always been a big I don't think we're going to draft a wide receiver, and I know you guys have disagreed with me, and I'm honestly I'm playing the both sides here. With the offseason moves that we have been making, I can kind of see us drafting a wide receiver now because we're starting to fill the holes. However, there's not big names out there for the holes that we need to fill, and what I mean that is linebacker and that tackle position, right? So we have the one big tackle, and that's basically it for the first 2 rounds, right? There's a lot of guards, other way around.
Yep, you got
so
it.
Guards.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of big guards in the draft class that we need to get. Our tackles are taken care of. We don't need to worry about them. It's the guards that is one of our holes, as well as the linebacker position. And unfortunately, this draft is not first, second round heavy in that aspect. So the only person I really want to see is Isaiah Simmons as a linebacker, and he's going to go way too early. And he'd be the only person I'd be okay with trading up for. And it's at that point, what are you giving up for that, right? What are you giving up to be able to trade up? I'm thinking, and we could talk about this in our pre-draft, post-draft podcast. I'm thinking that we either trade. If we either take at 15, we take someone at 15 that's going to be best player available, and it may or may not be a wide receiver, or we trade back and we let someone trade up to take that 15 spot to get something from somebody else.
Yeah, that's to me a little bit more likely than trading up.
Ayla, what you think?
I don't know. All I've heard is people talking about the wide receiver position would probably be the first pick to go. I think trading up for anything doesn't make any sense unless we were looking for a quarterback, which doesn't have to happen. So, yeah, definitely not going to trade up. I do think Broncos will be in the market for a wide receiver, which luckily this draft is heavy in them as well. So I know a lot of people have been throwing rugs around like, oh, we have to. But I think if he goes, which is a huge possibility, there's a lot of other choices. So I don't know. I think sticking to 15 might be a good one, but we'll see how it plays out. And as far as the draft goes, I heard they're keeping the date of it, but not going to do any of the live events around it. So I think the date's still going to be there. Just all those events that go on around it, all the fun with it.
So that's a good point. Yeah. So date's the same. It's going to be televised. No live people around. If you guys haven't heard yet, though.
Whoa, Kev.
What?
No live people?
No live people. No people live. No live audience.
That's
live audience.
Too. Like,
okay. Anyway, as I was saying, NFL Game Pass is free for a few months. If you guys want to go sign up for that, if you haven't already, so you guys can get all the Game Pass experience, which I think includes NFL Network. So just something else to think about.
A ton of stuff, yeah.
All the games, everything.
They have a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, fill in the gaps with all the old stuff. It's fun.
If you're a live person, you can go check that out.
Okay, Kev. Yeah, you're done. You're cut off. What are you drinking? Take that away from him, bartender. We can't play this game more. All right. So we talked about who we picked up or traded for. We talked about a couple of guys that left. There's one more person that we need to talk about who left before we talk about people that we've kept. And that's Andy Janovich. What is your feeling? And I don't want to spend too much time on this because we all know he doesn't fit our new system with our new offensive coordinator, but we got to talk about it. I loved Andy Janovich. I thought he was the heart of that offense, and sometimes he just had so much he had so much heart when he played, and you could tell that he was a little guy just trying to get through and trying to make his way. And I love that about him. And I'm sad to see him go, but I do understand the business, and I wish him all the best. Where did he end up going?
Oh God,
I don't know.
Is he Brown? I think he's a Brown. Yeah, he is. He ended up in
Brown.
Cleveland. Yeah.
So maybe I don't wish him all the. No, I'm just kidding. I wish him all the best up in Cleveland.
He needs all the best he can get. He's a Brown.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think of Andy Janovich?
Yeah, I mean, he was great for helping the run game. Look, if he doesn't fit the system, he doesn't fit the system. But he is one of those guys, like you said, always came out with a ton of heart and passion. And yeah, just sad to see those guys go. Totally get it, but
to me, we got a 7th round pick for him, and I don't know if we traded exactly that pick for Jarrell Casey, but we turned a 7th round pick into Jarrell Casey, and I'll take that trade, honestly, if that's kind of the equivalency that we're making here, and it's kind of a false equivalency, but Andy Janovich for Jarrell Casey. Sorry, I love Danny Janovich. He was a great Bronco, but that's, to me, kind of a no-brainer.
I'm 100% on board with that. Great Bronco player. But if that was the swap out of the trades, then it was well worth it. And we've got, we wouldn't have used him anyway. So what's the point of keeping him around? I do wish that guy the best. It was definitely not one of those ego-driven players, which always makes me like a guy a little bit more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so I do want to mention too, and I love this about Broncos country. I love this about the Broncos organization, is that all of these guys that we're talking about, we've all said the same thing. Like, we love them. We wish them the best. We hope that they do well in the next one. We have not had really a bad falling out with a player in a while. There was one time with Ward, I believe it was, that when he went to Tampa Bay, that everyone was like, whoa, Broncos organization, what the hell are you doing? Like, that you really screwed him over. Like, you should have done that better. But other than that, like, everybody that we've had that's moved on, Emmanuel Sanders, Chris Harris, Janovich, like, all these, everyone loves them, and everyone is happy to see that they're doing well, that they're going somewhere, they're getting big money, and I just love that about the organization.
And bless TJ Ward, but he did not have a great career in Tampa either.
Oh, so. No, he didn't. No, that looked like a great trade on part of the Broncos, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One question I think we had earlier.
Those,
one question we had earlier. Now we're kind of getting to the draft stuff. And Elway, going to start with you. Now that we've kind of made these moves, what, let's say we draft a wide receiver round 1. What would you like us to see? What would you like to see us focus on in rounds 2, 3, 4? What else do we need? Where are we weak at? Where do we want to build that depth?
I think if we don't find another cornerback, we need to build a couple of those positions. At least one more guy. I don't know if bringing in a young guy there would work, or if they're still looking into other guys. I know we had talked about that before on the other show. And then defensive line. I know we've kind of hammered that into the ground tonight, but it's going to have to happen. We're going to have to make that a priority as well. And I like the idea of bringing a young draft in for that. I think that's great. I think we'd be able to mold him. I'm kind of digging Fangio, and he's a defensive guy, so I think that would be something we have to do.
Agreed.
Yeah, on the corner end, I agree with you, and I think we should pick up a corner probably later on. I don't think it's a huge hole in our system where we're at right now, just because obviously we have the two that we talked about earlier in Boy and right.
One move that we haven't talked about at all. We did re-sign Devontae Bosby to.
That's what I was getting at. So we re-signed Devontae Bosby, and we also have the other Harris, who I think, and I honestly, and I know if you guys have been following us, I think his play is really good, and I think that our defensive coordinator really has a good handle on who he can match up against and who he can't, and I think that they're really good. So we have 4 guys back there right now that are decent, but I agree with you, Ayla. I think that we should pick up a corner probably 3rd, 4th round to see if he can compete with some of these guys. We only signed Devontae Bosby to a 1-year deal, and I think that really shows that we might pick up someone to try to take his spot for the following year.
We do have 2 third-round picks, and I would, if we went 2nd round running back, that would be something that I think would be kind of surprising, but not really. That's kind of an up area where we've seen the Broncos. You've heard them be interested in upgrading that area this offseason. There was, the talk of Melvin Gordon before you heard what his market was going to be like. And there was talk of other free agent running backs. Jordan Howard was linked to the Broncos at one point. And there is a sneaky amount of depth for kind of big number 1 running backs in this class. A.J. Dillon out of Georgia is a name that I think you should keep an eye on. But I really, really think that is something Broncos country should be watching out for. 2nd or 3rd round would not surprise me at all if we picked up a running back in one of those early rounds.
Yeah, you say that early round, it scares me because, we obviously have Phillip Lindsay, got injured for a little while, and Royce Freeman ended up taking the hold. But for the most part, that's our running back duo, and having a secondary or 3rd guy back there is good. Devontae Booker, I'm sorry, it just didn't cut it, right? We tried to get him at return, we tried to get him at running back, and I wanted the best for him. it just didn't work out. And I think that getting another running back or bringing a couple running backs in would be good. I just don't see it. That second round's hard, man.
And you really don't. You don't have to go second round. Like I said, we had 2 third-round picks. There's not going to be a run of on these guys at the top of the draft, and there are 4 or 5 guys I think that you could pick up who would be a major day one improvement to this running back room that you don't have to pick second round. I would just not be shocked if that's the way the Broncos go in the second or third.
Yeah, here's my problem though, is we could literally go down the line of every position that we have, and it would either be, no, we're good, or no, there's not enough talent in first or second rounds, or no, we're good, no, there's not enough talent for second rounds. And then by the end of it, you would get to me and be like, hey, Jared, we're out of positions. And I'd be like, oh, shit.
And this is a deep draft class at positions that we need. It, like you said earlier, deep defensive line draft, deep wide receiver class. That's all you'll hear if you listen to anything about this draft class.
Yeah.
Really not too bad at cornerback either. There's not a lot of blue chip talent, but that second level at cornerback is pretty decent. Sneaky good linebacker class. So, there's guys that are going to be out there. I think at this point we are going to see a mostly offensive draft, just because that's what we really have been trying to spend these last few draft class doing is building an offensive core. And I think we're getting there, but we're not quite there with all the weapons that we want to go forward with if we want to take this quarterback going forward.
Man.
Yeah.
Steven says, don't let it be another Monte ball.
No, right.
And then getting sick.
Wisconsin running backs in general. I've
been drinking already. I don't need to drink more.
See, maybe talking about drinking while discussing Monte Ball is not super sensitive of us.
Wow, that escalated quickly. You really just went that and brought that to it. Moving on.
Moving on. Let me go back. Yeah, Kyle brings up a good point. One, we didn't have Chubb last year, and even with all those injuries, Denver still had a top 5 defense last year. So, I mean, that is something to keep in mind through all this. I know it's easy to just focus on what the record was, but...
and it's a complicated defense. So having veterans who know this defense going into a second year, we saw them get better as the year went along. It's really, I think, we're gonna see a lot better as we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, they just points allowed were minimum. I mean, they really didn't get ran over. That was
by anybody except the Chiefs, and really not even the Chiefs.
And that was wasn't that the snow game? I mean,
they ran us over pretty hard in Denver.
In both games too, yeah. And in Minnesota, those 2 games where they're kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, that Minnesota game's kind of an out. Half of that Minnesota game. I mean,
we should have had him. Let's be honest.
What happened, guys?
Can we not? Let's not. We're looking forward to the future, not dwelling on the past.
Not backward. That's right.
Hey, a couple things.
One
go
guy
for it,
that
Jared,
we don't even that we have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry.
No, go ahead.
One guy that I'm excited to watch again. I haven't even muttered his name. What about Noah Fant?
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be great.
Oh man,
you kidding me? Yes.
Yeah, no, and that's somebody you hear that from the Broncos organization. They expect him to have a big step forward too. Pat Shurmur, I think, is going to help his game a lot.
Huge.
Yeah.
He's gonna. Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, it gives me like.
I already think he's. We saw how much success Evan Ingram had under Pat Shurmur in New York. I think Noah Fant is going to be better. I really do.
Absolutely.
Easily. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to with this team.
Yeah. On the offensive side of the ball. Sorry, Jared. Go ahead.
No. So we're gonna move on a little bit. We're talking about what we're excited for, but we still have a few people that we haven't talked about in this offseason that we've kept around. We've kept a few people around. Some of these guys, not so much. We talked about Bosby already. We re-signed Elijah Wilkinson, and we franchise tagged Justin Simmons. Now we all saw that coming. I think all of Broncos country saw that coming, right? He's basically the only one that really made the most sense. How excited are we to have those 2 guys back? And were you surprised at all that they came back and re-signed with us?
No.
Well, obviously the franchise tag you didn't have a choice in.
Well, what it means for the franchise, though. I mean, you have those guys that you re-sign. You know they're going to be with you for the long haul. Again, it's key pieces to build the team around. when there's no question about are they going to be leaving next year or something like that. Look, with Simmons, we're going to get him a really good contract. If not by this year, then next year. He's not going anywhere. We're not going to let him go. So it's good to see that this team is finally getting a foundation on which to build on. And that's what is creating the excitement for this next year. And years moving forward is we're going to see that improvement. Fangio's not going anywhere. If you ask me, our losing season streak is over. I just can't see with this team and the way they improved throughout the year. Look, I think after we went 0-4, we went 7-5 after that. So there was improvement. I'm excited for all those reasons.
Yeah.
We ended off the year, 4-1?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's, well, talk to me after the draft, of course, as far as all that goes. But what I really, really think is going to be key for Justin Simmons is if we go through this kind of free agency process in the next few days and we don't see the Broncos make any more big money additions, I'd like to see them sign a guy like Prince Amukamara. I think you can get him, a guy like Kevin Johnson just signed with the Bills today for $3.5 million that could escalate to $6 million. I think that's definitely a template for a Prince Amukamara kind of deal, a guy who knows the Fangio system and played well in it. So I think if you get a guy like him going in the secondary, but that, you don't see any other kind of big deals, it's going to be because you're going to see a big Justin Simmons contract coming. We've seen the tag applied to guys before they are signed to long-term deals consistently here in Denver. Von Miller, Demaryius Thomas, Brandon McManus, just three examples of guys who got the tag and then got a long-term deal that same offseason. So I think if you see another big money deal for the Broncos at all this offseason, it'll be Justin Simmons.
Ayla, your thoughts before I ask my question?
Dude deserves it. No, go for it, Kev.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So, honest, serious question. One thing that no, seriously though, I know I've joked about it in the past. We need a punter. Where are we going to get a punter? I'm serious. Look, we haven't had a consistent one for years now. And if we're trying to play the field position game, we have the talent there. We've got to build up our special teams, especially on the punter specifically.
Kevin, we're not drafting a punter.
I know we're not going to draft a punter, but not in the first round. Again, I know I've joked about it, okay? But where would you guys like to see us get one? Free agency or draft? Or are we going to stick with a guy that we pick off the streets again this year?
I say we do an open tryouts and we post the advertisements at the bars.
We have several 6th and 7th round picks. Just get one. Get one.
Look, we did that last year. We got one. The year before that, we got one.
So get another one. It's kind of like drafting a quarterback, except much, much less important.
Right, and you can't imagine that draft just because you drafted him means that he's probably one of the best. Look at Young Fu or whatever his name was that was drafted by the Chargers, and he did terrible. I mean, he was a kicker, not a punter, but still, he was awful. Drafting a punter is kind of like who scouts that? Who makes money Who makes money to go draft scout punters?
Look, I agree with all this. So how many chances do you give a guy before you bring in 3 other guys and say, 10 other guys and say, prove me what you got. Whoever does the best comes back.
I know you were super mad at our punter last year because he was like Joe Flacco. He was either really good or really bad.
Yeah, but that's been our punters for the last couple of years.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they're great. Other times,
we have officially devoted way too much of this show to the position of punter.
I'm just saying.
It has been 90 seconds.
It's Kevin's fault.
Let's move
just
on.
Saying.
I wasn't going to name names, but of course.
Just saying.
It's Kevin's fault.
I like how Ayla's been quiet through this whole thing.
Well, I'm sure our team knows that we need to address it, and they will. So
right.
I'm not worried about it.
Let's move on.
All right, we're moving on. Kev, let's take a couple questions before we sign off here. Do we have any burning questions from the fans?
Let's see. Thomas thinks about maybe we get J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd round, and then
sounds like a Harry Potter character.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Kyle says we get a receiver with the number 2 pick, 2nd round pick. So
running back.
who would we get in the first round? He says move up for CeeDee Lamb.
See, the thing to me is, I think one of the big three receivers will fall.
Right.
Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, or CeeDee Lamb, and all of them, to varying degrees, are perfect fits for this offense. Henry Ruggs, I think, gives you the most that you don't have in another receiver, and that's why I mean, he's been my wish list receiver the entire time. But all of these receivers offer something to this offense.
Yeah, I agree with David. I think one of those three is going to fall to 15. If we really want one of those receivers, they're going to fall to us. But I'm on I feel like I'm stuck on the we're not drafting a wide receiver train, and I think I'm going to ride it until I'm wrong.
That's Jared for you.
Yeah.
And then, he'll end up being right through no fault of his own. Like, nothing that he did will have caused him to be
You
right.
mean my genius? That's
Yes,
what
and
you
then
mean.
he'll talk about his genius for a while. So that'll be something we'll all get to enjoy.
What else we got, Kev?
Let's see. I think that's most of it. Kyle does say no telling what Elway would do in the draft.
That's true.
Austin is thinking about AJ Epinesa. I'm saying that name right.
DN from Iowa, a guy who, if he was there, I don't know, at 15. I don't like the value at 15, but if you traded down to maybe in the mid 20s and he was there, the best player available there, that's that wouldn't be a guy I would turn over a table and say terrible pick. That would be all right.
Yeah.
Also, his middle name is Jared, so I think we got to pick him up.
Moving right along.
Wow.
Talking about things we spent too much time on the show discussing.
I mentioned it once, all right? All right, fine.
Boom.
Yeah. So let's have our closing thoughts here as we're getting towards the end of our episode.
Yep.
Let's start with you, Kev. What some closing thoughts, and what are your thoughts so far on free agency?
I'd honestly give us an A+, with all these signings, and I'm not the only one to say that. I mean, a lot of people have come out and say, give us an A+. What are you laughing at now?
Of course, Kevin gives his name. Like, he is Mr. Optimistic. He's like,
well, last year I wasn't. You were Mr. Optimistic last year.
This is happening. Right. All I said was we're not mathematically eliminated a couple times. That's all I said.
A couple times.
All the time.
The only way Kevin would ever give the Broncos an F is if they brought back Vance Joseph.
I could give them a D-. Okay.
And he'd be like, "Oh, I can't give them an F, guys. They had their reasons. B-."
No, D-. Can't give him an F though. You're right on that.
We're taking Kevin's time. Take it away, Kevin. A+, Kevin.
A+. Okay.
Yeah, back to
so that. Look, this going into the draft. Yeah, let's try and make another couple moves here in free agency. But this is taking us in the draft where Elway has had a couple really good years in a row of drafting, and so if we get a third year of that on top of this awesome free agency we've had, again, we are building a team that is going to last for more than 1 or 2 seasons. Elway, I think, has really gotten out of this mindset of win now. And this is what we've been waiting to see, right? We talked about it all last year. Are we just picking up a couple pieces because we need 1 or 2 guys that are going to get us to the Super Bowl? Well, we've seen that that's not even close, right? So we are making moves in free agency that I really feel we've talked about before are big key holes that we need to address for years now. We're doing that. We're setting ourselves up to really draft the best player that we think is there, and add solid depth to this team in the draft. And that's what's going to build us a team that's going to take us, deep into the playoffs, maybe even a Super Bowl here in the next several years. And that's what's exciting about all of this. So A++ for the Broncos.
It got worse.
Yeah, it really did. I'm just glad that Kevin is not a Texans fan, because I don't know how the optimism would match with the
What's happening right now?
The totally.
I don't know what you're trying to say, David. Are you complimenting me that I'm not a Texans fan, or
I'm glad, because
take it that way,
Kev. It would break your brain. It really would, I think.
There's always next year, man.
Yeah. Well, A's should be very hard to earn in free agency. So I'm gonna give a B+. A-. A minus maybe.
That's still an A.
It's like a 90, a 90.1.
If you're a me in school, an A is an A. All right.
You turn in one more, borderline signing. We could turn this into a B real quickly. But
Okay.
I love Graham Glasgow. You lock a guy up like that who's still young in the prime of his career. Hopefully he can be a foundational piece on your offensive line. You got AJ Boye, you've got Jarrell Casey, both guys who you can get out from under if they don't perform to your standards. But if they do, you've got team options to keep them. So both of those good signings, or both of those good trades. And that's the other thing. You haven't spent crazy money against the cap this offseason, even though the cap's probably going to go up. You're thinking about having to re-sign guys like Cortland Sutton in a couple of years, maybe giving Philip Lindsay a pay raise. So you're doing the fiscal responsibility thing. AJ Boye is going to make $13 million this upcoming season versus a guy like Byron Jones, the big sexy name that was linked to the Broncos all off season. Will they sign him? They could sign him. He got $17 million a season. Right. The AJ Boye's contract looks great by comparison. It's just, you're going to be, so you're not doing crazy. I love it. Basically is my bottom line. A minus for me, just because you haven't gotten filled in all that depth at linebacker or at cornerback quite yet.
All right, closing thoughts, Ayla.
Well, why don't we give him an A for Ayla?
Oh, I see what you did there.
This is happening. All right.
I'm gonna throw that in, guys. But I do. I think it's been unexpected and magnificent to see guys that weren't even talked about. That Jarrell Casey is going to be fun. And then outside of all this trades and free agency, I am pumped to have our quarterback that's going to lead the team. I think that's been a really, missing thing for a lot of years. So that's something I'm seriously looking forward to. And there's still a lot of time. It'll be fun to see how the draft plays out. And even though we can't be there, I'm glad we didn't get a sponsor for that, because that would have sucked to have to turn that down. So, it's all working out just fine. And A for Ayla.
A for Ayla. So everyone's giving A's. This is ridiculous. Mine
was a borderline A.
Yeah.
Still an A.
You gave in to peer pressure. Don't give me that.
Right. No, that happens. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Ayla. I can't do it. I can't give an A, and this is why. I'm giving a B. Also, I don't do the plus and minus because back in our day, there was no plus and minus. You got a 3.0.
You just got like happy stickers or frowny stickers
that was
for grades, didn't you?
Jared got a lot of frowny stickers. Not a lot of gold stars on that homework.
I got a lot of thumbs up if you flipped the thing upside down. All right, so this is the reason I give him a B. And honestly, I give him a B because of this one thing that I've been talking about it all off season. I've been talking about it towards the end of the last season is we still have not identified what's happening in our linebacker position. Who's going to be our starting linebacker? What are we going to do there? Have we gotten somebody that can actually cover tight ends? Because we haven't been able to do that this decade. That's what I'm really worried about. We shored up that defensive line, which is great, and I think that's a big part of it. I need something at that linebacker position. I need something to identify that linebacker position, especially knowing that this draft does not hold well in the linebacker position for such a big position in a leadership team position. That's my only reason. Other than that, I love it. I love the Glasgow trade. I think that we talked about that already. He's by far my favorite pickup. Jarrell Casey was a huge pickup, and I think he's going to be playing a lot of inside. He's going to be filling a hole that some of these guys may leave if they do end up leaving, like Wolf. But other than that, I think we're doing a pretty good job, and we're starting to piece together a team that's going to be here for a while. In the last couple of years, we've had a lot of issues with past draft classes and past trades that we made that just have not worked out. And I think that we're starting to see the beginning of a very good Broncos team that's going to take us a long way in the future.
Ready to end the show, Jared? Because I got some plugs.
Oh, do plug it.
We're going to plug it.
That's probably a bad way to put that. Yeah.
Well, as long as we have live people, we can plug it, right?
Plug it.
So, hey guys, if you're listening to this podcast on one of the podcast forums or formats again, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever, right?
Google Play.
Cool. Yeah, Google Play. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. Hit that share button for us. Follow button, whatever button's there. Press it. Let us know if there's anything you think we can do better. You want us to see us do different this next year or add to the show. Maybe do less of. Maybe it's me talking. I don't know. If that's what we have to do.
All of us.
But we are here for you guys. So appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching on Facebook Live, hit that like button as well. I know times are tough, but we are here to talk football, and we're going to be back a lot more frequently when it gets closer to the draft. So watch out for that. We're going to be adding some awesome new content next year. So lots of good things to look forward to in addition to the Broncos being awesome, right? So thanks for watching. That's all I got to say.
All right. And we always sign off with a
Go
Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Absolutely.